I'm here with Rob Phelps, Providence Friar, former New York high school basketball great, Big East tournament champion, also first team all Big East tournament in 1994. I appreciate you coming on. What's keeping you busy nowadays?
Well, just staying busy with my son and my high school basketball team, and just staying active and with those guys and staying around the game, and it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And speaking of high school, kind of take me back to your senior year, junior senior year of high school, kind of the recruiting process. I do want to talk. I know you have a son who's heavily involved in basketball. I know things have changed, but for you, obviously you end up at PC, but what was that process like? What other schools were kind of in the mix when you were thinking about the next level?
Well, it was UConn was my number two. Then it was Tennessee, Wake Forest, Rutgers, and who was my other school? Such a long time ago, but I know those were the schools in the mix because I was pretty much recruited by everybody in the country, but I narrowed it down to those 4 or 5 schools.
Definitely. And like I said, I want to talk about that, your career obviously at PC, but with that recruiting process, I know, like I said, I know your son, I think he's class of 2025. I know you're a coach as well. What is the biggest difference that you see now, just with what these guys maybe have to go through, or the exposure, the tournaments, everything that goes through the recruiting process obviously starts a lot earlier, it seems.
Well, one of the biggest differences is that they play a lot more games. It's a lot of games being played. Um, that's one thing, and then the whole portal thing that wasn't around when I was coming out. Um, and just the development. I don't think kids are developed. I don't think they spend enough time developing their skills. And the last thing is I don't think they play enough basketball. When I was coming up, the parks used to be packed, especially in New York City. The parks are empty now. It's no everybody plays inside. There's no New York is known for playground basketball, and kids don't play outside anymore. And it's a lot of different reasons for that. I get it, but you gotta play. You gotta play against different people, different environments, and that's some of the things that I think that missing. But like I said, the biggest thing is this whole transfer portal thing. It has knocked the high school thing down because everybody wants older players, and they're going to JUCO. So the whole high school has now become last. When I was coming out, high school was kind of like first option. Now the portal is first, junior college, prep school, and then high school. So it's kind of going in that category right now.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I talked to a lot of coaches and even, guys on the recruiting trail. And it's high school that's obviously bearing the impact of, not just the transfer portal, the COVID years. It's
Yeah.
it's hard. But, you know, obviously, like I said, portal's different, recruiting's a little bit different. But for you during that time, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you guys were a top 10 recruiting class when you came on board at PC. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
we were 2 or 3. North Carolina was number one. I think we were second or third. So we were, we had Mike, you had Dickey, you had myself, you had Franklin Weston, you had Troy Brown. I mean, we had some, some talent coming in, and it was good. It was the recruiting process was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I made the best out of it. But I narrowed it down to Providence because it was a smaller environment. I was used to that coming out of Nazareth High School, and I like that environment. UConn was my number two, and the reason UConn was just a little bit bigger, and I like the campus, I like the players, but I narrowed it down to Providence. I just like the smaller environment.
Definitely. And, I want to spend some time on your senior season, obviously that magical run, the Big East tournament. But just before that, how important was that NIT run you guys made? Obviously, I know the goal is always to miss, it's to make the NCAA tournament. But that junior year, to kind of have that experience, make it to Madison Square Garden, how did that help kind of propel you guys come senior year?
Well, we went all the way, I think, to the finals or the semifinals. It was a good run, and it really helped us, prepared us for what we need to go. We were young, we were coming back, got some more game experience, got more play. But what people really don't understand, and there's a lot of schools that's doing this right now, people don't know. Our senior year, we took a trip to France, and a lot of schools are doing that now. But we went to France and we went out there and we played against pros. We didn't win a game, but man, did it get us ready to go for the Big East tournament. And I think my senior year, I think we were undefeated at home. I think we might have lost 1 game at home. I mean, we had a great senior run. But that propelled us for the great season, like you said, the junior year, getting to the NIT, and then that senior year when we took that trip to Europe, really kind of got us the bond together, and we hung out together. We ate, joked around together, practice, extra practice time. But I think that's kind of like a norm now. All the schools go on European trips now. So that was like very rare back then. I think that helped us a lot.
Definitely. Yeah, actually, it's funny. I know PC, they're going to Spain this year. And, I was talking to Coach English, and he said
Right.
now, all the schools are doing it, but even how important it is just for guys to kind of, put their phone down, talk, especially post COVID. You know what I mean? How important
Yeah.
to connect off the floor, obviously, helps on the floor. And, that senior year, I covered the Big East as well. And I went back and watched a few of those games from 94. And you just look at the physicality, obviously the
Oh,
talent, not just the talent obviously on your team, but especially UConn, Syracuse, BC your senior year. I think you
yeah.
guys may have lost 6 or 7 of your first 10 Big East games. Then you win 5 in a row. For me,
Yeah.
that kind of speaks to how difficult it is to win a game. What do you remember just kind of about those league games, those Big East games?
They were battles. You got to go up against Alonzo Mourning, and we played against Syracuse, who was always great. My buddy Red Autry, congratulations to him on getting the job at Syracuse. So the Red Autry, we had they had John Wallace come. I mean, I can go on, and Ray Allen, Kerry Kittles, every team, and I tell people this all the time. Every team had 3 or 4 pros on it. Providence alone, my senior year, we had 6 pros. Eric made it to the NBA. Michael Smith, Dickie Simpkins, Austin Crocier. Troy got drafted. We had 6 guys just on our team alone. The talent throughout the league was crazy. And like you said, the physicality. Forget the games. What about our practices? Our practices were wars. We had fights and battles, and you had to play that way. And it's kind of like frowned upon now, playing a certain way, being very physical. That's another thing that's different with the game. Every little touch is a foul. When we played, it was a war. You had to see blood. So those are kind of things that's a little different. But listen, I'm gonna still say this to this day. I watch basketball. I love the Big East. Big East basketball. I'm still here in New York, so I love watching Big East basketball. I watch other leagues, and it's still great, but nothing compares to the Big East to me, anyway.
I agree. I agree. 100%. And so going into that, I didn't know that UConn was kind of your second choice. So I could imagine, obviously, you going into that Big East tournament. You guys had won, I think, 5 in a row. You
Right,
take care of Nova convincingly. But what do
right.
you remember about that matchup? Obviously, that semifinals against UConn, a team that had beat you twice, but they had that one. I think it was Ali with about 2 seconds
Yeah,
at home. That heartbreaker.
he scored that against me. I was pissed off. I remember that he scored that buzzer beater against me, so I remember that.
So with that, just going into that, knowing like, we're not gonna let this team beat us 3 times. But what do you remember even about the message or just kind of that attitude going into that semifinal game? They were number 2 in the nation at that time.
Yeah, yeah. But the biggest thing was we had, like I said, we had a great run. Taking care of Villanova, and I forgot who else we played before that, but it was just like, yo, we don't have nothing to lose. Like, and we played them tough both times. So, and like everybody, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. It's really, really difficult in a tough league like that. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. And we just came in ready to go. We were very confident because we knew we can play with them. And it just so happened I just got hot, and
Yeah, I don't think what you missed
and
one
my
shot.
guys were, yeah, I one shot the whole game. And let me tell you something. People don't understand when you have a team and a group of guys they were looking for me, like everything I did, like Abdul and Dickie was making sure I got open with the screens, and Mike and they were just looking for me. They say, listen, you got it going, and you gonna take every shot, and that's just what it was. And it just so happened, I didn't miss any. I just missed one. So it was but like I said, I owe all that to I was prepared, but my teammates did that for me. Abdul, I think he had 12, 10 assists that game, and they were just looking for me. And then my teammates get me open. So even though I got a lot of the glory, but I couldn't have did that without those guys. They got me open. So and I just did my job and knocked them down.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like I said, I recently, in just kind of prep, just watching that game, and just, you had obviously mentioned the talent. We know the talent of PC, but just that UConn team. I mean, it was
Oh,
Donnie Marshall, Ray Allen, just the team. Like, I think there was, like you said, I think there was 9, 10 pros just, involved in that
yeah.
game.
Tipped up. Huskies will have a chance. Allen on the drive. Pull up. They call a foul. No, they call a double dribble. Ball game's over. Providence into the final. First time in the school's history.
Um,
Yeah.
and then enter Georgetown. You know, Obviously it's a big tournament. You have no days to really celebrate, but just
Right.
you look at that game, a game you guys controlled, got a little close, at the end, physical. I know you took a couple
Right.
couple hard fouls
I got I got hit pretty hard a couple of times. Yeah.
that last minute, but just how often do you go back to kind of to that game? Obviously, not just a special moment for you, but Providence College, the first ever, Big East title. But how often do you maybe go back to that game, or just kind of does that come up with you and your teammates?
Oh yeah, I mean we talk about it. We talk on the like I talk to Dickie every other day. I talk to Mike. Me and Troy Brown talk all the time. We're still connected, all of us. We still talk a lot, and it's just great. Like I said, the bond that we have, and just playing and just enjoying each other. I mean, it was a great feeling, just winning that, but being prepared. And it's so funny. Me and Joey Brown, we connected on Instagram, and we talk all the time. And we just talk about that. And he said, man, you people don't realize how tough you guys were. We knew when we played Providence, it was going to be a fight. So, and one thing that everybody knew about is that we were tough. We had a lot of city guys, Boston guys, New York guys, DC guys. So, we were tough. So, listen, it was going to be a war when you played us.
No doubt. And I kind of, I think about the coaching change that just happened at PC. Obviously, with you, when you graduated, Rick Barnes, he left PC as well. And for me, just kind of the connection though, right now, you have Rick Barnes, who was such a big part of bringing in Kim English, and you also have Felton back, an assistant
Oh,
during the time. What did you
yeah.
think, just kind of hearing that he'd be back? He's going to be back 30 years later on the PC sidelines. Just kind of how cool that is, and again, kind of the connection between Barnes, Felton, and this new hire and new chapter of PC basketball.
Well, I talk to Coach Felton all the time. We're pretty tight. I talk to Coach Barnes every now and then. He's all over the place. But me and Kim, we spoke a couple of times, and he wants to really get into New York basketball because New York, these 25 and 26 kids are going to be good. So I spoke to Kim a couple of times, and I'm actually going to be down there next week. So I'm going to stop in at the campus and talk to him in person and reunite with Coach Felton as well. So I'm gonna be there next week. But I think it's a great hire. I mean, I love Kim's his energy. I think he has bringing some wealth of experience and in the youth, so he can relate to the young guys today. They're a little different, and just with just with cell phones and all this other stuff. Kim is young, so he'll be able to relate and get them to understand when it's business time, it's business time. But when it's time to, to let it down, I think he's going to be able to do that. So I think it was a great hire. I really do.
Awesome. Well, listen, I appreciate. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate the time. I look forward to kind of mixing this up and throwing in those old highlights. One of those things too. I feel like some of these younger guys, players, probably even your son, they need to see the tape. Sometimes they forget. A lot of
It's
these
it's funny.
college.
It's funny you say that. My everyone tells, especially in New York, but with the things that I've done here, they always tell my son, do you really know how good your dad was? And he's like, yeah, my dad, I heard he was okay. So he'll watch a little bit. He's like, was that really you? Did you really just score on Ray Allen like that? And I say, yeah, well, I was okay, back in my day. But a lot of the kids today, they only know about what's the here and now.
Yep.
So the fact that you'll post something on YouTube and I'll tell my son, why don't you go check that out? Why don't you go look at that?
Yep.
Go look that up. So it might be great for him to see. But as far as him, he has a chance to be pretty good. He's a lefty.
Yep.
He can shoot the ball really well. His skill set at 15 years old, and I tell everybody, is way better than mine. He has my name, Rob Phelps Jr., and he's starting to make a little name for himself because right now everybody say your dad, Rob, that your
Yep.
dad, your dad. But now he's starting to make a little name for himself, and He's growing fast, and he's going to be. I think he's going to be better than me. I hope so. I hope he'll be better than me.
That's a tall task, but
Yeah, yeah. I think he. The only thing that's a little different from him and me is that I was a lot more, a lot more Brooklyn. He's a Queens kid. I live in Queens now,
okay,
so it's a
all right.
little different. I mean, don't get Queens is tough too, but Brooklyn's a little different. So I'm a Brooklyn guy all day, every day.
I love it, love it. Well, listen, I look forward to following his career as well, and we'll definitely keep in touch. But I appreciate it.
Nah, not a problem. Thanks a lot. And like I said, I watch the Roadie show all the time. I check it out. So now once you chop it up, I'm gonna go check me out.